Okay, just one tip. Okay, at the top you see the URL. Okay, before you go inside the leave application, just want to okay, you're already there. Okay, so whenever you are at the workflow center, okay, you will see at the top the URL is showing as workflow center. You can change that and you can rename it to process center, so you will have the same view, okay, like the process center which we generally see for the license version. Okay, yeah, please proceed with the demo. So click on top of process, not in the plus sign, on top of processes. That is process app settings, not that one. So on the left hand side palette, don't click on the plus sign. Click on top of processes. Yes, please open it. Yeah, you can trigger this process. Top right corner, you have the run button. Okay, so an instance ID has been created. Employee task has been triggered. Please claim the task. Right side below, you see there is something called location. Next to the employee task, you have a play button. Not this one, the previous one. Yes. Okay. So fill up this application form. Okay. So is the manager task getting triggered? Can you close this now? No. Good. Okay. All right. Thank you, Abhinesh. Now we go to Mohit Anna for the manager human service.
Yes, sir. Sir, is my screen audible? Visible, sir?
Yes.
Sir. Hello.
Yes.
Sir, I forgot my password, sir. It is saying incorrect password or IBM ID. I will try
Rahul,
after some time, sir.
Rahul, mine also same problem. When I am correcting, when I am entering correct password also, it's getting an invalid password. After clicking on forget password, mails are not getting to reset the password. Rahul,
Okay. I have never
this is
faced
not
this
Rahul.
kind of, yeah, I have never faced this kind of issue, honestly. But wait for the mail to come to your inbox. What can I do? Tell me in this.
Okay, Rahul. Night. Okay.
Okay, so who can show me the manager human service? Anyone who has done? Okay. Okay. So you can trigger the process and take it to the manager task, and we'll see. So this is Chandramouli, right? Garapati Chandramouli. So meanwhile, Krishnaraj, right? So Krishnaraj, can you tell me what is the difference between none and hidden visibility?
In none, we will not be able to put insert any value to the text box, but and we cannot even be seen in that UI. It will be completely visible. Like it will be visible, but we can't edit. But hidden, it won't be visible in the UI, but there will be a space for that. What is a plain text if you apply for it.
Okay, so everyone agree to what Krishnaraj is saying? Difference between none and hidden?
We can say
Yes,
like
Rahul.
none there will be no memory allocated, and for hidden there will be memory allocated. We can say like
Okay.
this.
Right. So none and hidden would hide the coach view, but in case of none, we will not see any space because the browser will not allocate any memory. That is correct, Inayat. Okay, Krishnaraj, you understood?
Yes, yes.
All right, so we are at the method task. Yeah, so claim the employee from the right hand side, so you can reach the manager task only if you complete it. Yes, you can do that as well. Do you see there's a URL at the top which says return to process instance leave application? You can click on that. Right at the top, you see there is just above task employee. On the right hand side palette, task employee, above it there is something called return to process instance leave application. Yes, click on that. Yes. Yeah. Why your manager task is getting triggered directly and employee task? Can you click on the employee task once on the diagram?
Sorry?
Can you click on the employee task in the diagram? Yes. Can you go to the implementation property for the employee task? Select it and go, yeah. Just expand this. employee human service. So what is there inside the employee human service? Can you click on employee human service? Okay. Okay. So you have something in the employee human service. So why the tasks are not getting triggered?
Yeah,
Can
it's
you go back?
triggered. It's triggered. This employee task is completed. It's closed.
Yeah. So who closed? You closed it.
Yeah, yeah, just now.
So did you fill up the application
Yes,
form?
yeah, I filled up the employee application.
Okay. So please open the manager task now. Let's see.
Yeah, is it visible, Rahul?
No, it's not visible. I believe you are sharing possibly only this designer.
Yeah, 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 just
You have to share the entire screen, then only it could come. So I believe none of us we saw the employee
yeah,
application form.
yeah. Give me a minute.
Yeah, sure. You can stop sharing and you can share once again. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, is it not visible, Rahul?
It's visible now. Yes.
Yeah, I just filled up the employee. Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, we are good. All right. So guys, please do the practice. Whoever could not show the demo, resolve the issue for the BAW trial version. You would definitely be able to reset the password. And again, please start practicing whatever we are doing. All right. So now I'll share my screen. And we will continue with our session. All right. So today, the same process which we created, right? The leave application process where we had added the two different tasks, employee and the manager. So till now, what we have done, we created the employee human service, we created the manager human service, and for each of them, we designed the coach separately, right? So we had to give some effort. So employee human service, I remember I created day before yesterday. I created the coach. Yesterday, I created the coach for the manager. Now, just think in this way. If I create a template or if I create a layout and if I use that layout in both the coaches, both for the employee and the manager, so the overhead of developing the different coaches separately will not be there, right? So we'll save some time, and most importantly, the look and feel will also be very similar for both the employee as well as the manager, right? So very important topic. So we are going to cover today how to create a layout and using that layout in both employee and the manager human service. Now, just think for the employee human service, we have to keep all the coach views, right? Whatever coach views we're adding, text box or text area, drop down, everything we have to keep as editable. But the same layout which we are going to use for the manager, we have to keep the same layout as read only. Again, for the employee coach, we will not have anything called manager remarks, as well as we will not have anything called approve and reject button, right? But again, for the manager layout, we will have the approve and reject button and also the manager remarks, right? So what we will do, we have learned what is visibility yesterday. Now with the help of dynamic visibility, okay, so what we did for the visibility yesterday, we went to the visibility property and we changed the visibility manually, right? Now I am going to change the visibility with the help of code, okay? based on certain condition, the visibility of the coach views will change. Okay, so this is very important. The reason is, nowadays whenever you're going to work in any BPM project, over there layout is something which is absolutely mandatory. So you might have say 5 to 6 human services in a process, in a complex process, and those 5 to 6 human services will definitely have 5 to 6 coaches, right? Now for every coach we should not go and develop it separately. So we'll create a common layout, and that common layout will be used across all the coaches, and we are going to manage the coach views inside the coaches with the help of dynamic visibility. Okay, so let's see how to create a coach view. So for creating a layout or a coach view, I have to go to the user interface. I have to click on the plus sign, and I have to come to this option called coach view. I click on coach view. I have to give a name, say employee, or just leave application layout. Now see the naming convention. I am put no space in between. Now ideally we should not put any space in between, but yes, I mean there is no such best practice for a coach view naming. So you can even put space in between, that will still work. Okay. And yes, the name should start at least with a capital letter or an uppercase letter. Okay. And then it says start with a blank view, start with a grid, select template. So I'm going to start with a blank view because I'm going to create my own layout. I'm not going to use any reference. So I'm going to create my own layout, my own template, and then I'm going to use this across all the coaches. Okay. And definitely I have to enable this intended for use on multiple devices. Whether you are creating a coach view this time, I mean in 8.6 or in BAW, or whether you're creating any client-side human service in BAW or 8.6, always this option needs to be enabled. I click on finish. This would create the coach view for me, a blank layout I can see. Okay. And coming to coach view, what is coach view? I believe everybody is aware what is a coach view. I gave few examples. So coach view is nothing but a reusable component which we can use in multiple human services. Okay, so we are already aware of what is a coach view. Like text box is a coach view, text area is a coach view, drop down is a coach view, date time picker is a coach view, button is a coach view, right? So similarly, we can also create our own coach view. Definitely, if you want, you can go and create a button, but I mean, it's just a wastage of time because we already have those coach views in the BPM UI toolkit. And the customer these days, they do not actually accept a customized coach view because BPM UI or Spark UI toolkit has all the coach views which we need to implement in a process or in a human service. Now, this kind of implementations which we are doing right now, which I'm showing you, this kind of implementations will always be there in the BPM projects. Okay. So let's see how to implement it. So the first and foremost thing, what we will do, we are going to drag a layout. Okay, I'm going to drag a vertical layout. So I'll search for layout. I have a vertical layout, so I'll just drag it here. Okay, now inside this layout, we are going to add all the different coach views that we have already seen before. Like employee ID, for employee ID, there will be text box, right? The text areas and all the things. Now, before I add anything, let's go to variables. Very, very important. Okay. Now, in the variables, what do we see? We see at the top, there is something called business data, and then we see something called configuration options, right? And at the end, we see localization resources. So for this layout, for implementing any layout at any time, we have to come to this variable declaration and we have to declare some variable. Now we should know at which place we need to create the variable. There are three ways we can create. One is business data, second is configuration option, third is localization resource. Business data, in case you are adding the entire business object over here, and through the business object you do all this creating layout and then mapping those coach views with the business object information that we can do. This is done in case you are trying to retrieve any data inside the coach view. Okay, say I have created this coach view. Say I am creating a text box. Okay, say usually what we used to do before, say there is an implementation of something called drop down, right? We have seen how to create a drop down. Now the drop down which we are creating, say that drop down will get the details, whatever items I'll display in the drop down as a list, I will get it from the database. And that drop down we are implementing inside this code view. Say we are creating this layout and we are implementing the drop down over here. Now the drop down will have some service at the backend which will get the details from the DB and will display it. So in that case, we have to create business data. Okay, we have to create a business object which we have already created, employee information, that we need to add it over here. And accordingly, whatever coach views we are adding, if I want to populate some details for the coach view over here, then in that case, I have to create business data. What is configuration options? Configuration options is when I am just designing this coach view, I am just designing a layout. Whatever data will be populated, that will be done from the human service level. An example, we already implemented something called type of leaves, right? Now, where we are populating the type of leaves, we are actually populating the type of leaves in the human service, right? We will not be doing that in the coach view. In the coach view level also, you can declare a static list. That can also be done. But since we are doing it already in the human service, we don't need to do it inside this coach view, right? So configuration options we will create for that scenario. Localization resource is something very different. We'll come to this. We will have a session on coach view again. So where we'll discuss about the different life cycles of coach view and how exactly we can create a coach view and we can code. Although it's something which we do not do these days. We do not create any customized coach view these days. But yes, we should be knowing at least how to do it. Okay, so we'll discuss on that later. For the time being, for our implementation, which we are doing right now, and even going forward, whenever you have to create some kind of template or layout, we always need to use configuration options. So any template you create, any layout you create, if you want to add that layout or template across all the human services in a process, we always need to use configuration options. How this configuration option variable will work, I will show you. I will show that implementation. So before that, let's create a few variables. So for the configuration option, the first thing that I'm going to create is I need to identify like that this layout is placed in which human service. So it can be either employee human service, it can be some manager human service. So for this, I am going to create a parameter, say human service. What else we can have? We can have, say, visibility. Okay. What else we should have? Okay, we can have the entire business object, employee information, and I will bind this with the employee information business object. Now let us go back to the layout. Let's create this layout. So we'll add all those text boxes and text areas, everything we are going to add now. So text, this will be named as employee ID. I'll do the binding also. I have created this variable. Similarly, I'm going to add one more text box, employee name. So one by one, I'll just add this coach views and we'll do the binding. Now, we have done this before also, right? We did this for the employee human service, we did this for the manager human service, but this layout will actually consist of page views for all the different human services. It will also have submit button. It will also have approve and reject button. Okay. So we'll see how we are doing this. Type of leaves. Yeah. So what I was talking about, guys, I will just once again repeat. Say this type of leaves, we are populating this where we are populating this in the human service, right? Now, say if we have to populate this type of leaves inside this layout, okay? So in that case, we had to create business data. Instead of adding this configuration under configuration options, we added this employee information, right? But say if I want to populate these details inside the page view, maybe I'm going to add some JavaScript and I'm going to populate that. So in that case, I have to add the variable as business data. Okay. Instead of adding employee information over here, I should have added that in the business data. But since we are already populating that in the human service, so we are not really concerned of populating the same over here in the page. That is not required. Usually these days we populate details in the human service only. We don't populate in the page view because at times we have found that it impacts the performance. Okay. So what happens whenever your page view is loading, it tries to retrieve some data. And as a result, it takes time to appear on the screen, appear on the page. So that's the reason, since we already have this UI toolkit ready. So if we have to populate any details, we populate that in the human service layer. Okay, so the same way we did this implementation. So here also we'll do the same thing. So static list will populate. So here type of leaf. Okay, what else? What else we have? Start date, end date, and leave duration. So date and before. What else we have? We have uh, we will have buttons, right? I'll explain everything. So maybe I'm just doing this silently, but I'll still explain what I'm doing. Okay, we missed something at the top. We have something called reason of leave, right? So we'll add that as well after leave duration. So reason. Now, so here is the entire layout which I have created. I have created in a vertical layout so that all the code views which I am adding, they can be placed in a vertical order, right? That is the number one reason why I added a vertical layout in the beginning. And whenever you are designing any coach, okay, it is always recommended that you add the coach views directly on the layout and do the design. Okay, so we don't generally add the coach views directly to the coach. So we definitely have a layout called horizontal or vertical. So depending on the requirement and the design, you can add the layout and you can do your development instead, or you can also create a coach view like this, which the way we are I'm creating right now, and you can also implement the coach views in the same way. Okay, now what I have done here, guys, I have added all the coach views which are required for both the coaches, employee as well as manager. Now you see the same layout. I have added manager remarks also, approve and reject also. Now this entire block I have kept it separately. Why? The basic reason is because I don't want to whenever this employee coach will open, right, it will not show this block, right? So that I can separate out this block from the rest. That's the reason I added this block separately. And the design was very simple. I added a vertical layout where I added the manager remarks text area, and then I added a horizontal layout so that I can place these two buttons in a horizontal order. Okay, so this entire block I can use it only in case whenever this layout will load a manager human service. Right, now we are still not done, so few more things are still left. Now this block, guys, we will display it only in case we are using the manager human service. Okay, so what I'll do, I will go to the visibility property of this layout which I have selected right now. Okay, and I created a variable, guys. You see, I created something called visibility, right? So instead of changing the visibility manually, you can also map a variable over here and control the visibility with the help of your code. Okay, so what I'll do, if I want to map any variable in the visibility, just next to visibility, you see there is a blue colored button. Just click on that. Whenever you click on that, on the right hand side, you get two buttons, select and clear. Select is when you want to bind a variable. So I'm going to bind this visibility variable over here. And if you want to remove this, simply you can click on clear and this will be removed. Okay. So I map this once again with visibility. So this is done. And why I am mapping this visibility? Because as simple as that, when I go back to my human service, I am going to use this visibility variable in my human service to control the visibility of this block to the end user. Whenever the human service will load for employee, whenever the coach will load for the employee, I am going to make the visibility of this block as none. Whenever it will load for the manager, I am going to make this visibility as editable. Simple. I believe we are able to understand why I am doing this, why I'm adding this visibility over here. It's a bit complex than what we have done till now. So guys, anywhere if you face any doubt, please ask me questions. Okay. If you think that I'm going too fast, please stop me there and ask me questions. Okay. Now, Same way, just think, when this layout will load for the manager human service, there also we need to do some changes, right? Now the layout above, right, which we have created here, employee ID, employee name, type of leaves, all these things, this will be editable in case whenever it loads for the employee. But again, for the manager, this will be again read only, right? So I need to create some visibility for this well. So what I'll do, I'll create one more parameter. I'm going to name this as section visibility. Okay. So I'll go back to the layout. I believe I did something wrong. So I should have kept this entire block again in a separate, at least till apply, I should have kept this separately in another layout, right? So not an issue. So what I'll do, I simply drag a vertical layout. Right at the top, I can just place it here. Just inside this layout, I'm going to place it. It went down. Let me just take it up. Yeah. Now just place this employee IDs and everything inside the section. Start date, end date, leave duration, reason of leave, right? And what else we have? Apply. Okay. Now this entire layout, what I will do again, same way, I'm going to add a visibility parameter over here, section visibility. Again, through the section visibility variable, I'm going to control whether this details, whatever I'm showing through this layout, right? This employee ID, employee name, all these different code views. Do I want to make this as editable, or do I want to keep this as read only? Because whenever this will load for the employee, it should be in the editable mode. But whenever it loads for the manager, it should be in read only format. Okay, we are missing out on again another thing. What is that? Apply button. Apply button will be there only in case of employee, but it should not be there in case of manager, right? So once again, I can add a visibility. So what kind of visibility I can add? You see, this one will be displayed for the manager and not for the employee, correct? So same way, what I can do is, I already have a variable called human service, right? So this also I can add it. So whenever it will be employee human service, so I'm going to show this apply button. Whenever in case I'm opening this for the manager, I'm not going to show it. I'm going to hide it using none, right? So I'm going to map this human service visibility. Now, three different parameters we are using to control the visibility, right? One for the layout above, which we are making it as read only at times for the manager, and for the employee, I'm going to show this to the end user. Coming to the apply button, I'm using again a separate visibility property, a separate visibility variable. Whenever it will load for the employee, I'm going to show this to the end user. Whenever this layout will load for the manager, I'm going to hide this from the end user. And last but not the least, we have this entire block, which again I have mapped with another visibility parameter. So this block will appear only when it loads for the manager. In case for the employee, this will not be visible. Okay, so you can rename or you can change the name of the variables, the visibility variables, so that you can understand. Okay, so I have given a name like visibility and human service. Okay, section visibility. So you can give a proper name so that the developer, the other developers who are working with you, they can also understand it easily. Okay, I see some question. Rahul, can you repeat section variable? So section variable is nothing but the visibility variable which I have added. So what I'm doing here, this entire section, I'm using section visibility parameter. Okay, and we're using this visibility parameter. At times, I'm going to, whenever this layout will load for the employee, that time I'm going to show this to the end user. I'm going to keep it as editable so that the employee can fill up the application form. But whenever the same layout is going to load for the manager, I am going to make this as read only so that the manager cannot edit anything, whatever codes have inside the layout, right? Okay, just a moment, guys. Here, apply. I have added a visibility for apply, and again, this apply button I have added inside this layout, which again is being controlled by another visibility parameter. So this might cause some issue. Okay, so
Rahul, why do we need a separate visibility option for apply button? Actually, we can use as section visibility, right? For manager, it will be read only, means it will appear,
no,
but it will
no,
not be able to.
I don't want it to appear only.
Oh,
Why it will be displayed for the manager? It will look bad, right? I mean, a button as read only, it doesn't look good. So
okay,
I need to hide this completely. Okay.
okay,
So that's a complexity we have to add over here. So apply button, I can separate out from the section. It will work. But I'm just thinking in a way, if I put this in a section, will it work? So manager remarks we are displaying in case of manager. Now, if I add the apply button over there, it will not work, right? Now, for the above section which we have added, we are making this as editable for the employee and read only for the manager. So here also it will not work. So better we separate this out. We just put this out of the section, okay? So that it can be controlled separately. I don't want to add a button or any coach view where already a visibility I've added, and again I'm adding the same inside a layout, another layout, a vertical layout, which is again controlled by another visibility parameter. So what happens in this case? At times it throws error. Okay, it will not throw error, but your functionality will not work properly. Okay, so whenever you are adding the visibility, we'll discuss about this visibility again, guys. So we have another session of data change. That time I'll again bring this topic, although that topic will be very simple. It will not be so much complex. So here we are controlling three separate visibility parameters with three separate variables, right? So over there maybe we are going to use only one. Since we are using multiple coaches, that's the reason we have this complexity of adding multiple visibility parameters and controlling multiple sections. To be very honest, when you implement this kind of thing for a complex process where you have 5 to 6 human services, the layout implementation becomes more complex. Okay, so just think of a bank project, a finance project where you're dealing with a customer, or where you're dealing with a business, say personal loan or car loan or home loan. There you will have multiple sections in a coach, right? You will have employee details, you will have the details of the user, the address details of the user, salary details of the user. So separate sections will be there. So at times you will see that maybe in human service one, you have to display section one and section two, and you have to hide the other sections. Again, for another human service, you have to display or you have to show section two and section three, and you have to hide all the other sections. Okay, like this it happens. This is a way we implement a layout in a complex process using dynamic visibility. So what we will do now, more or less this layout is ready. So what we will do, I already have this human services ready, right? So what I will do, I don't want to delete everything over here, guys, right? This entire thing, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a layout and I will hide it from the end user. Because whatever effort we gave on the last 2 days, I delete them. So just I will add them here. Okay. So this entire layout, this is a vertical layout which I have added, and I have just added all the coach views. The reason being, since we have already implemented a coach view as a layout already, so I don't want to use the same, the ones which we have added before. So I've just added inside the layout, and I'll go to the visibility and I'll make this as none. Okay. So now what I'll do, we'll already have this layout created, guys. You see on the right hand side, leave application layout, which we just now created. I'll just drag it here. Yes, somebody has some question. Rahul, can we have a single variable or parameter and use it in multiple sections and make the variable perform different for different? Definitely we can have. That is what we are doing right now. We are actually using the visibility parameter, and this visibility parameter we are going to use across both the human services, and this visibility parameter will have different values for different human services. Say for example, section visibility, which we added, right? Same parameter we have to add in the human services also. We'll see the implementation, we haven't completed. So the same variable I am going to use, it will have a different value for the employee, and it will have a different value for the manager. Okay. So how we can control it, that we will see. Okay, guys, don't ask me direct questions in the message. What you can do, you can post a question, but that should be visible to everyone. Okay, that's a learning thing for everyone. So when you are asking any question in the chat, so post it for everyone, not only for me. Okay. All right. Now, okay, so we have added this layout, right? Now, adding a layout is good. Now what we need to do, we have to come to the configuration of this layout. Okay, so what we have done, we have dragged and dropped this layout in the middle for the employee CSHs. Now remember, inside the layout, we went to the configuration options and we created some parameters over there. Correct. Now those parameters we need to map inside the human service. Exactly the question which we just got, that how we can control using a same variable for different human services. The same implementation we are seeing now. So if I go back to our layout, this is the layout, and you see what variables we have added. We have added human service, we added visibility, we added employee information, the entire business object, we added approve, we added reject, and we added something called section visibility. Right now, we go back to the layout, we go back to our human service and to the coach. So you see I have selected the entire layout, and when you select the entire layout, you have to come to the configuration property of this layout. Okay, I need to configure the variables over here. Now the same variables which is created inside the layout, I'm going to create the same variables in this human service. Okay, what are they? Human service, visibility, employee information I already have, so I can map the entire business object. Okay, over here. Okay, approve reject, guys, we don't need. Correct. So we will control this using our section visibility. So I'm going to create 3 separate parameters, private variables. One will be visibility. What else will have? Section visibility. Okay, what else we have? Let's go back to the coach. Human service also we have, right? So human service. Now I am giving similar names so that you guys can understand, but you can also create different name also here. It doesn't mean that since the name is human service in the layout, that is the reason you have to create the same variable with the same name over here. No, it is not like that. You can create any name you can provide, but make sure whatever variables you have created inside the layout, you have same set of variables in the human service also. Okay, explain once again. Once I complete the implementation, I'll again explain everything, whatever I've done in a gist. Okay, so here, just first the thing first you need to do map the variables which you have created. Just mapping with the similar names so that you guys can understand it. Now mapping is done. Approve and reject, I added them separately as parameters in the layout. That's the reason they're appearing. But to be honest, approve and reject, we don't need to control anything, right? Because section visibility, this visibility parameter already control this approve and reject. Why? Because you remember inside the layout which we created, this leave application layout, I added a section below, right? This one, where I have manager remarks, approve and reject. And I'm controlling the layout, this entire layout for manager remarks, approve and reject with the help of this visibility parameter. So this visibility parameter I already added over here. You see, visibility, I mapped it over here. So I'm already controlling the section which includes this approve and reject button with the help of this visibility parameter, right? So I don't need to enable anything for this approve and reject separately. Now comes, I have mapped all the variables. Now how I can manage these variables dynamically. So for that, I will go to the diagram. I will come to the populate type of leaf. So here, right in the beginning, what I will do, one by one, I will just control the visibility. So how will I do it? So this visibility parameter, it controls the section of manager, remarks, approve and reject. So for the employee humans, for the employee coach, will that section appear? Will the section manager remarks, approve and reject button, should that appear for the employee coach?
No, Rahul.
No, Rahul.
No, Rahul.
Right. So I can make this as none, right? So for the employee human service, whenever this coach will load, it will not display section which includes manager remarks, approve button and reject button, right? So we are good with the section. Now comes our another section which is called section visibility. Now this visibility parameter is controlling the employee ID, employee name, type of leave, all those coach views, right? So do I want to make this section visible for the employee? The answer is yes. Second question, should this be editable to the end user, to the employee? The answer is yes, right? So
Yes, Rahul.
can you tell me what is the visibility property I will add it over here?
Editable.
Correct.
Editable.
Edit. Now, last but not the least, apply button. Correct? We added something called human service to control that pattern. So, what would be the value, guys? Editable. Once again.
Yes, Rahul.
So now we are actually done with controlling the visibility of those layout of that layout, right? Now, if I run the human service at the moment, let's see what happens. I'll once again come to the configuration options and everything. I'll just explain once again right at the end session. So let me just remove this participant list. Okay. All right, let's see whether our implementation is working correctly or not. It is working absolutely correctly. You see, there is no other section. I don't see the manager remarks, approve button, reject button, nothing. But I see all these details coming. And moreover, these leaves are also populating, right? I have designed a layout which has the drop down. This time I am not controlling the drop down from the human service. I am controlling the drop down from the coach view. Yes, I am populating the list inside the human service, but configuring the drop down, mapping the bindings and everything I am doing inside the layout by creating my own coach view, right? So everything is being controlled how? Everything is being controlled by the configure options variables that we have created inside the coach view. And once you have created those configuration options variable, guys, it is absolutely mandatory that you have to come back to the human service. And whenever you are adding that layout, your own customized layout in the coach, you have to go to the configuration and you have to map all the configuration parameters with the parameters of your human service. It is absolutely mandatory. If you do not do the mappings, it will not. Okay. So this is about the employee. Now we'll come to the manager. Okay. Now we'll open the manager human service. The way we did, I am again going to drag a layout here so that whatever effort we gave on the last 2 days, I just don't want to delete them. I could have gone and deleted, but we gave some effort. So I don't want to delete all those things. So I'll just add a vertical layout. Just drag it over here one by one. Okay, so I have placed the entire thing in a single layout, in a single vertical layout, so that I can just hide it and add our layout which we have created today. So I'll just make this as none so that it is not visible to the end user. Now I'm going to drag my own layout. Similarly, what I did for the employee. So here also I'm going to add the same layout. And with the help of the visibility parameters, I'm just going to control this entire layout. Same way we did the employee. So first and first, I'll go to the configuration option. So here I already have the employee information. So I'm just going to bind it with the input, right? So whatever input going to come from the employee, that only I'm going to display it. So I'll just make the correct variable over here. And for the rest, human service visibility and section visibility, I'm going to create three variables separately. So one would be section visibility. The other would be visibility. And the third would be human service. And what else we have? We have nothing. Let's go back to the coach. So we'll just do the mappings. Same way we did the mapping for the employee human service. I'll just check one thing, guys. Give me a moment. Just go inside the leave application layout and we'll see what I have added over here. Did I do any binding? Yes, I did some binding. Okay. Approve and reject. I did the binding. Good. All right. Let's come back to the manager. So here I will bind this approve and reject. This also needs some binding, correct? So how we can bind? Always, guys, if you have a blue button next to every variable, whenever you go to any configuration of any coach view, or you go to the visibility property of a coach view, or if you go to the configuration property of a single select or a multi-select drop down, you will see next to every configuration option, you will see there is a blue button. Okay, so you always can bind a variable in IBM BPM in any artifact whenever you see a blue button to the configuration option. Okay, so you can click on that, and this will allow you to bind it with a variable. So I already have the parameters, guys, created, right? Remember, approve and reject, we created it yesterday. So I binded this approve and reject button of my layout with the same parameters which I created yesterday for the manager human service. Why I have to map this? Because on the basis of the parameters, guys, I am doing some uh, I'm populating the manager action, right? Yesterday we added some code. So based on my code, based on those parameters, I am going to populate the manager action, whether he has approved or rejected. So that mapping is absolutely mandatory. Okay. So now what we have to do, we have to control the visibility of this sections. So for that, I will drag a script because I don't have a script for the manager CSHs before the coach. So I'll just drag a script. I believe you guys are aware why I am adding a script before the coach, because whenever the coach will load, that time the visibility and everything will be controlled, will be taken care by this human service. Okay. So here I'll just change the name to calculate visibility. Okay. So one by one, we will add the visibility. So first would be the section visibility would control the employee ID, employee name, and all the other details that we have added. So do we need to show them to the end user, to the manager? Yes, we need to show it. Now the second question is, do I need to keep it as editable or do I need to make this as read only? So I want to make this as read only. So that's how you make it as read only by assigning the value read only variable. What is the second one? Second one is the last section, which will have manager remarks and everything. So that will be displayed now. I want to display that to the end user. So this will be editable, right? And what is the last one? Last one is my human service, which will control the apply button. I don't want to show the apply button to the end user for the manager human service. So I will make it now, right? Let me run this. Let's see. So is that I can see it correctly now. Manager remarks, approve and reject, everything is coming, everything is editable, and the rest at the top I don't see anything. Everything is read only, right? I cannot edit anything over here. Apply button I can't see, right? So see, apply button, this one is controlling human service. So if I comment this now, and if I run this, apply button will appear. You see, apply button has appeared. So you can control the visibility in this way. So I'll just again comment out everything. I'll save it. So now apply button is not appearing. Okay. So now what I'll do, I'll trigger the process and we'll see one last time how this is now behaving. Okay. So I'll trigger the process. Employee task, I'll claim. Now you see one more thing, guys. Whenever, as soon as you start adding layouts, you see the way this codes are added now. If you see the yesterday, till yesterday when we were not using any layout, all these code views, text boxes and text areas, they were coming again to most in left. And at times this label was not visible properly. So actually it is always recommended that whenever you are creating a coach and whenever you are adding some coach view, always add the coach views inside a layout. If you are not using your own layout, which I created today, if you're not using that, still you can use vertical layouts or horizontal layouts and you can add the coach views. Okay. So that the compactness of the code views is properly visible. You see how compact it is. The it is properly, you see, next to every before every text box and text area there is some gap. Again on the right hand side, again you see when this code views are ending, again there is a similar gap again on the right hand side. Now this thing will happen only if you are using some layout. Okay, so definitely the client will always want that whatever things you are creating for the business, that should also look proper. So I'll fill up all these details. So employee ID, type of leaves. So this also needs to be implemented. I did not check today, but tomorrow whenever we connect, I'm going to show this implementation of leave duration. Also guys, you also can give a try at your end. Okay. Click on apply. So, okay. Okay, one mistake. One mistake we did. Somehow this is not getting triggered properly. Okay. So what we will do, again, I'll trigger this process. Why it is not working? Hmm. Why it is not working? Okay. Just a moment, guys. New application layout. Apply. Apply. I'll explain once again what I did. Uh, but first I need to see whether this is working. So I'll just do the testing and explain. Still not working. Because the reason is That is the issue. So this one, it is taking the apply button from here actually. So let's delete it. No need to keep it. I'll delete it. So now it should work. Now it should work. So let me trigger it. Click on apply. Yeah. Okay. I'll trigger the process once again. So basically, I was hiding the old section. I said that I don't delete the things which we have done yesterday. So when the binding happened, it actually happened with the old apply button which we added day before yesterday for the employee coach. That's the reason it was completing the human service. Oh, sorry. So this will be the employee ID of the employee. This will be the employee name. This will be leaves, start date, and we'll have the end dates, leave duration, and then vacation. Click on apply. So this is now submitted. Now the manager task is now triggered. Manager task I'm going to claim, and I can see all the details have come properly. I'll add the manager remarks. Rejected. I click on reject. Okay, again the same thing. So better we always delete the old things which we have done before. That's the reason. So basically what is happening is approve and reject this buttons which you can see. This is actually the old ones which we have added yesterday. So now we are not using them, but still we have kept them. We are hiding them from the end user. So better what we do, we delete that thing. Okay. So better go to the invisible items, select the layout and delete it completely. So it's creating confusion. Now you can come back and you can just do the correct binding over here, approve and reject. Okay, so hopefully, not sure, but still we'll try to refresh the same instance. The same, right? So let me close this login manager and we'll try to claim it once again. Let's see if it works. Else I have to create again a new instance. Okay, so the remarks is rejected. Yeah, it worked. Okay, so